Okay. Last session we discussed about declaring array, initializing memory for array, and storing values into array. These are the basic things we learned. So how the properties are defined, how we store values into an array. So that is one basic thing. So we learned that array comprises of properties. Through those properties, we can store value and we can access the value. Usually properties have the reference of memory index, and technically property is a string type. We can access by referring to the string index numbers also, right? So that is like 1 or 0, like a number you can write, or as a string. Even you write as a number, it by default refers it into a string actually. Okay, after understanding how to declare, how to initialize, how to store values into array. Next important, we need to know about generally how to read values from an array. How do we read values from an array? So many points are there. We will see step by step. Actually, so we learned how to create array and store values into array. There is another important point we have to know is array destruction. We need to understand about array destruction. Array destruction is nothing but, so destruction is the process that allows to access the elements stored in array and access the elements from an array. We can access the elements from an array and store in the reference of variables. Destruction is the process of, actually we constructed array, we can destruct an array. How we constructed an array? Under one name, so many values are stored. So we can destruct that array, we can read the values and can individually configure them. That means, what is that you can practically see, then it is easy to understand actually. Generally, array destruction is nothing but, suppose for example, if I have to read the values from an array and we have to individually deal with those values, then generally we need to follow a technique for reading the values and individually dealing the values. So let's see the basic technique actually. For example, generally what happens is, generally what happens here is, suppose we are having the array, suppose some values are present, and these values are stored in a reference. So we have 10 and 20 and 30 like this. And obviously they are stored in memory reference 0, 1 and 2. Now I want to individually deal with these values. If I want to individually deal with these values separately, because generally in later stage you will understand how to deal with complex data, then you will see that array contains a collection of objects that we will later see. Then every object should be individually handled. So we are going to discuss about that. In that case, generally what we do, suppose I asked you that I need to deal with 10, 20, 30 individually. Then you can do like this. You can declare a variable let some x, and it is a number type, and into that you can store this value. That means values of 0. That means that value comes and stores in x. You can individually deal with it. Similarly, another y, and it is a number type and is equal to, so values of 1. This is how generally we can read the elements from an array and store in individual reference. Now this can be handled. This is actually destruction. This is destructing. So that means we are individually reading and dealing with those elements separately. This type of concept is called as destructing. Earlier we need to destruct an array in this way. Now from ES5 onwards, that means from JavaScript ES5 onwards, JavaScript introduced destruction of array, which is supported by TypeScript also. How array is destructed? That means how it is individually handled. So let's see. Array destruction can happen in this way. That means earlier we need to deal like this. So to make you understand, so we have, this is without destruction technique. Without destruction technique, let values, it is number type array values, in that we have 10, 20, 30 like this. So some values are stored in it, and to individually deal with them, we have to use let some a is number type, and into that we are storing values of 0.